If you are ready, Madam Clerk, we will continue regular business meeting.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation.
Here. We are open to public comment. No, anything?
I don't think so.
Okay, that's gonna make that go fast. Old business. Having reviewed the minutes, I'd entertain a motion to accept them as written.
I'll motion to accept the minutes as written.
I'll second that. All in favor? Liquor, I don't believe that. I don't think we have any today. Shoshone County payables, we've reviewed those. Any questions on that?
No.
Cancellations, homeowners, none. Idaho Military Division Special Use Agreement. Who brought this before? I don't know if you've seen it. I have not because she wasn't here yesterday and I didn't. I just saw it this morning.
Do you want to continue with it? Or do you want to table it for further? I think it's just basically it's the permission to use the towers.
To continue using. Yeah, I just saw it for 5 seconds this morning on the way in the door, so. It's the same agreement.
Mhm. That's fine.
Okay. Okay, I'm okay with that.
Okay.
Okay. No. Repeater, the agreement for the repeater. Rural Idaho Economic Development Professional Grant. Are you here to speak on behalf of the RI?
Through with the county for decades. That's predominantly how the EDC is. The EDPRO to carry out economic development initiatives throughout the state in cooperation with Department of Commerce and other entities, regional groups, and so on. So every year, the EDPRO has to, with this year's page, has to put together a work plan. They go through an application process with Department of Commerce that's reviewed and given points through Department of Commerce, and then they accept or deny. And it's $30,000 grant for the EDPROs. And if their work plan is attached, so that's where you can see what locally is going to happen, the initiatives. Kate has been doing a great job. She's been doing other things as well to help supplement these and has really pushed forward a lot of the mental health initiatives in BHP and a lot of the placemaking and Main Street development things that are happening. So that's what that is that the county is a pass through for that because of the type of funding. It has to be applied for by a public entity. So actually they apply for it and then
Yes,
just put everything in and make sure that it's all hunky-dunky, and then Tammy signs off on any of the reimbursement requests. So it's just if you're okay with continuing to use the pass through, that's the plan. You can see what the directives are for this next year to do economic development.
I knew it was from her because
Yeah.
there's a lot of paperwork.
Yeah.
Water
Okay.
deployed.
I'm good with that. How
I
about
am
yourself?
too. Yep.
Pass.
Came to
Your
explain why neither one of you have an agreement in front of you today.
Okay.
This one is interesting. We put it on the agenda, late Thursday. I asked them to put that on. This is in regards to a crop grant that we were awarded through Western Federal Lands, for $8.5 million for the rehabilitation of the Moon Pass tunnels and trestles. It's a zero match funding opportunity for us, and, the state and local kind of gets everything started. We were not expecting the funding to come through so quickly for design, and LSMOC is administering this. So they asked us to, get the state and local signed. So I put it on the agenda before we had the agreement in front of us. We were supposed to have the agreement yesterday, which we thought was gonna be great. We didn't. And the reason state and local. So we pulled that agreement back. I would like to put this on the agenda for next week and, have the proper state and local in front of me for signature.
Okay.
You will have to pay the restocking fee,
Yeah.
but I think if you talk to Sydney nicely, she'll cut you a deal.
Well, thank you.
Okay, so we have no state and local agreement. That was the big, okay.
Okay.
Thank goodness for the rural Idaho economic development when this showed up with paperwork. All right. Okay, so that is it for our consent agenda. Do you have any comments or questions or entertain a motion to pass the consent agenda?
Okay, motion to pass the consent agenda, and we will, reschedule the state and local agreement with, federal lands for Moon Pass next week.
We like to get those grants.
Yep.
And we appreciate your work. So, yeah, I'll second that. Comment because we have more public, even though
Yep.
they're employees, but you're still a voting public member. Do you have any public comment this morning?
I do not.
Yes, well, you blew,
EDC meeting, executive session was longer than it was supposed to, with Keller today.
it's, everything stacked up today, so, all right. Any further comment, ladies? You do?
So kind of off topic, but not really, kind of an update. So first of all, I'd like to thank the court. Tremendous asset. They are working on behalf of Shoshone County, but in a statewide level with Imagine Idaho and Commerce on all of this funding that's coming out. So, you know, the thinkers in DC come out with these great programs that are supposed to be wonderful for rural, but are useless in rural settings in more often than not. And so because Deb and Rob have so much experience with other states, and they're actually doing this with other states that are ahead of where Idaho is, they're seeing the things that are happening that are good and bad. And so they are sharing that with us and going to the state level and advocating on making sure that policies when the BEAD money comes out are set so that they are showing favor for the rural communities. And the great state of Ada and Kootenai are no longer what drives these policies. Because we're getting a voice in the state between those that are going on. So our next steps here locally is we want to go out for requests for information. Part of what all of the planning has shown is that even though there's money out there, the internet service providers are not terribly interested because there's a long-term ROI that has to be considered. And so even though we can throw millions of dollars at it, 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road, is that really going to matter? And they're just not, it's not penciling out for them. So that was part of the process that we found out through the CPF application. So we do have a request for information that we'll be sending out. So this is just kind of information and I'll send that to you. I've got to just fill in some other dots. That'll really give us the information that we're going to need to go after the BEAD funding, because we can't put together a plan when we don't know who the players are. So this is going to help us figure out who the players are And there's expectations put out there for the ISPs, and so it's just a request for interest. We're not doing anything beyond that, just to kind of figure it out from there. So I'll send this to you once I get all the dots in. We're gonna release it on September 1st and start gathering all that information to have it done by the end of September, so that we can start that planning, because deed applications should start coming out the last quarter, maybe first quarter, depending on how far Idaho is into theirs. So they've got their draft 5-year plan that is required by NTIA, but that has to all be finalized. And hopefully in that process, we also get some of the teeth and the policies that we're hoping for the ISPs that will ensure that the bills are done the way they're supposed to and in a timely manner for the rural communities. Because they don't have the capacity to go after those guys and say, well, you didn't do it this way. That sucks to be you. And that's what we're trying to resolve with all of this. And we've made some pretty good steps in that. So that's just it. Broadband update. Go broadband.
Good. Okay. Any further comments, Mr.
No.
Commissioner? Well, this has been a rather enjoyable meeting compared to some of our meetings lately. So thank you all for being here, but we're going to have to wrap this up so that Jessica can come to another one in 15 minutes.
Yes, I have to go down.
All right,
Thank you.
Thank you.
meeting adjourned.